Wow. What happens now with the lightweight division? Finally, we have some more clarity on how that division is going to move forward. Khabib didn't ask to be, but he's bigger than the UFC. The UFC are so desperate to get one last Khabib pay-per-view that they will offer him any fight he chooses. So what happens? Well, firstly, Khabib said to Dana that they both know he is levels above his competition. And quite frankly, he's right. No one can tell me that Khabib isn't the pound for pound number one. Now, I understand why Jones feels he deserves it, but the lightweight division is the most stacked in the UFC. Khabib, Poirier, McGregor, Hooker, Chandler, Ferguson, Oliveira, Gaethje. Need I say more? And yet, do any of those names threaten Khabib? 6 months ago, I thought perhaps Justin Gaethje. And now I find myself thinking, maybe Charles. But Khabib's the pound for pound number one. So then, why bother coming back? Khabib's late father had two wishes in the sport. One of them was to see his son fight GSP. The other was for him to reach 30-0 as a professional MMA fighter. Although that fight at this stage with GSP doesn't sound as important to Khabib, that 30-0 still rings very true. So there's the question, who is number 30? Right now, there is one clear contender, and that's Dustin Poirier. However, Khabib beat him less than 2 years ago. To add to this, nothing is more important to Khabib than respect. I believe this affects that division in two ways. Firstly, and probably most importantly, his mother's wish for him to retire from the sport weighs heavy on Khabib's shoulders. He's told us that if he was to even consider a return to MMA, he needs his mother's blessing. Secondly, Khabib has too much respect for his competitors to hold up that division. Poirier fights Oliveira for the interim title. That's the easiest shot to call. Gaethje and Chandler would be an incredible fight for a number one contender spot. Two pressure fighters with power in their hands, one of the best UFC defensive wrestlers, the other a wrestler. Sign me up. Am I the only one that thinks Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker need to meet? It's a sad spot because us as fans want them both to do well. But one of them has to rise and one of them has to fall, and it's time we let them decide who that's going to be. Now, this one's a stretch, so lend me your imagination here. McGregor needs a big fight. A big fight he can win if the UFC is going to keep making that Conor McGregor money. Max Holloway is the undisputed number one featherweight contender, and he deserves that fight against Volkanovski for the third time. But there's a problem there because Volkanovski's hands are tied for the next 6 months. I want Max to come up to 155 for a second fight against McGregor. Win or lose, Holloway's still going to be the number one contender and get that fight against Volkanovski. So while the lightweight division moves on, Khabib will sit and wait. Regardless of who our champion is in 2 years' time, we're always going to be wondering, how would they have fared against Khabib? And I think when enough people are asking that question, that's when we'll see Khabib return.
Oh, thank you. Today, I want to say, it was my last fight. And no way I'm gonna come here without my father. It was first time when